historian. I am your justice. I am your retribution.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I know Donald Trump's type.
The 2024 election is in full swing. For every key campaign moment, from landmark Supreme Court decisions to the sentencing of Donald Trump, will determine the balance of power in Washington and the future of our country.
If we don't win this election, Israel, in my opinion, within a period of 2 to 3 years, will cease to exist. It's going to be wiped out. That's what's going to happen. It's a tough thing to say, but what difference does it make from my standpoint? I have to tell you the truth, and maybe you'll be energized, because there's no way that I should be getting 40% of the vote. I'm the one that's protecting you. These are the people that are going to destroy you, and you have 60% of the Jewish people essentially voting for them. In my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss if I'm at 40%.
Your task will not be an easy one.
And Donald Trump certainly should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
America, any conservative America.
I say Kamala. You say Kamala. I say Kamala. When you say Kamala. 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 Let's call the whole thing off.
I want to talk about how Trump seems to absolutely know everything.
Hannibal Lecter. Anybody know Hannibal Lecter? We don't want him in this country.
Hannibal Lecter, right? This is Hannibal Lecter. Welcome to Hannibal Lecter, because we got a lot of them right now coming into our country and already came into our country.
Has anybody seen Silence of the Lambs? Hannibal Lecter, how great an actor was he? You know why I like him? Because he said on television, on one of the, I love Donald Trump, so I love him. I love him.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter, starring the late, great Hannibal Lecter, who eats people for breakfast.
Congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter. That's Hannibal Lecter. Anybody ever hear of that nice gentleman?
Maybe even better than anyone.
I know more about ISIS than the generals do.
I know more about weapons than just about anybody.
I know more about steelworkers than anybody.
I know more about drones than anybody.
I know more about politicians than anybody.
I know more about technology than anybody.
I know more about ethanol than anybody. I know more about wind than you do.
Nobody knows consultants better than me.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Nobody knows the system better than me.
Nobody knows the banking industry better than me. Nobody knows more about environmental impact statements than me.
Nobody knows more about it than me.
Nobody knows it better than me. And nobody knows it better than me. Nobody knows it better than me.
Nobody knows it better than me.
I know this menu better than you do.
It's amazing that people still follow this guy.
So let's be clear about that, and clearly he is having a very difficult time processing it. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom work with you, and they say you're a disgrace.
They see answers like this.
Childcare is now more expensive than rent for working families and is costing the economy more than $122 billion a year, making it one of the most urgent economic issues that is facing our country. In fact, the cost of childcare is outpacing the cost of inflation, with the majority of American families of young children spending more than 20% of their income on child. One thing that Democrats and Republicans have in common is that both parties talk a lot about what they're going to do to address the childcare crisis, make childcare affordable. What specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. You know, I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue, but I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that, because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country, because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be getting in trillions of dollars, and as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people, but we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to do it because right now we're a failing nation. So we'll take care of it. Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
As being insightful and deep.
Banana Republicans never stop with the guy at the top.
We have gone over a cliff in America.
All the while of accusing Kamala of not getting to the specifics.
We'll be reporting back sometime over the next 2 weeks.
Over the next 2 weeks.
It's in about 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks. I have concepts of a plan, and you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
How absurd.
Let me ask you about Project 2025. So you've publicly said that you don't have any direct connection to Project
Nothing. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about Project 25. I know nothing about QAnon. I know nothing about it.
I'm going to Springfield. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happened to Trump? Well, he never got out of Springfield.
You say that you have a responsibility to share what your constituents tell you, but don't you also have a responsibility to fact check them first?
Well, I think the media has a responsibility to fact check the residents of Springfield, not lie about them.
Just everything, yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense.
What was he going to do with those donuts? I'll let you decide. I would like some donuts. What flavor? Doesn't matter. Just make sure they have holes. Look, it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to know if it's true.
Get your fat ass out of the couch. You have a big protector in me. You don't have a protector on the other side. And I've said long and loud, anybody, and especially over the last few years, anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat. And honestly, you ought to have your heads examined. You ought to have your heads examined.
Now, Trump's just narcissistic enough to believe that he actually knows this stuff. But the reality is he does not.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course, he doesn't know when he doesn't want to know, when he doesn't want to know it. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
I know nothing about the indictment.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks.
I have no idea who these women are.
I don't know anything about Russia. I don't know Putin.
RFK, I don't know anything about him. I know nothing about white supremacists.
I don't know who the Proud Boys are.
I don't know anything about David Duke.
I know nothing about Hitler. I don't know anything about it.
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 I didn't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know who Little John is. I really
He was on
don't.
The Apprentice.
I don't know.
Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Don't negotiate, let's investigate. We'll accelerate how we're taking him down.